Battlers, I am back. Welcome to another episode of the United Podcast Roster Review Edition. Well, roster review is all about breaking down the squad and making sure everything is in the right place, exactly like our mates do at Above and Beyond Construction and Developments do. Whether it's fixing up your home, Battlers, or building something brand new, they'll make sure there are no weak links in your lineup. And the best part, it's as easy as A, B, C. So if you need quality construction work that will not leave you second guessing, hit up our mates at Above and Beyond Constructions and Development, because they will go above and beyond for you and will not drop the ball. All right, Battlers, this week, the Knights return once more from the bye after a narrow loss to the Raiders the week prior, hopefully returning with an air of confidence after a narrow loss to the top of the ladder Raiders, because we are going to need every single ounce of confidence this week. That's right, because this week we face our toughest test yet. That's right, taking on the competition heavyweights, the Melbourne Storm, without either our captain, our superstar fullback, Kalen Ponga, or our other attacking machine, Fletcher Sharp. We'll get to Fletcher Hunt. Those two boys. But tell you what, some reinforcements have arrived. That's right, Leo Thompson. He is back after serving his suspension. The G Train has made his stop at McDonald Jones Station this week. So, can the Knights pull off one of the greatest upsets of the season this week? That is the question I will be answering tonight. Not only that, Battlers, we'll be taking a look at some of the United news this week. Our player battle matchup. I'll be taking a look at some of your grain-fed lock-it-ins as well as mine and answering your burning questions. So, Battlers, sit back and get ready for the storm that's coming as I take a look at the Adam O'Briens and outs of this week's upcoming clash against the Melbourne Storm. Let's go! All right, first things first this week, Battlers. I have reunited the New South Wales Blues stream team with a couple of extra additions. I've got an absolutely star-studded lineup. That's right, and being hosted by none other than the Caxton Street Brewery tomorrow night. I will be coming to you live for a pre-game and post-game Origin 3 edition stream. With not only myself, you got your boy Joel from League of Inches, you got Nick Davis, Retro Rugby League, and Hainsey. They've been on here before. It is going to be an absolute blast as we witness the New South Wales Blues absolutely dominate the Queenslanders, put this to bed. They're not going to get any more handout, no more favours from Ashley Klein. Back in Sydney, we're going to wrap it up. So it's going to be a really good, fun night. So stay tuned for that. So there's going to be a pre-game show, post-game show. All right? It's going to be a lot of fun. You're not going to want to miss out on that. All right? So first things first, brought to you this by Newcastle Mixed Martial Arts, which is Newcastle Lake Macquarie in the Hunter's highest rated mixed martial arts gym with more than 350 Google 5-star reviews. Beginners are welcome and encouraged into their safe, inclusive, and most importantly, Battlers fun training center. Head coach Jess Landry's experience includes being directly trained by UFC veterans as well as under the wrestling coach for the Sydney Roosters. Newcastle Mixed Martial Arts is centrally located in Cardiff, right beside the Cardiff train station, offering day and night classes for kids, teens, and adults, including Muay Thai kickboxing, gi and no-gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and mixed martial arts. So make sure you go book your free trial by visiting their website at newcastlemma.com.au. All right, Battlers, if you're enjoying the stream, tell you what, make sure you give us a big old thumbs up wherever you're watching this right now. And if you're listening to this later on, make sure you give us a big old 5-star review on Spotify. And I tell you what, wherever you're wasting your time, no matter what social media platform, make sure you go search up The United. We are everywhere. You can't get rid of us. So wherever you're wasting your time, I guarantee you we will be there. So make sure you follow us across all social media platforms. It goes a long way, Battlers, to keep us going. Now, not only are you going to want to do that, I'm doing another giveaway. That's right. It'll be announced this time next week. All right, so you got a week. Don't say I didn't warn you. If you want to go on the running to win your copy of Rugby League 26, which does come out next week, I believe Thursday, Friday, something like that. I think it's the 17th. So if you want to go on the running, all you need to do, I've made it so simple for you battlers. All right. All you need to do is go find the pinned post either on Facebook and Instagram, smash that like button on that, tag 3 friends, 3 family members, 3 enemies, whoever the hell they are. You're going to go tag them. And all you got to do is stroll on down to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. That's it. That's it. Then you're in the running. How easy is that? All right. So if you want to go on the running, go do that. All right. You got a week. You've been warned. All right. All right. Let's do it. Let's jump into this week's Night of News, battlers. All right. Kicking it off. That's right. I always get asked on the show, Link, who are some forwards we're looking at? Who are we trying to sign? Well, it has been reported that the Newcastle Knights have sought after 23-year-old, 23 NRL game experience forward for the Canberra Raiders, Trey Mooney. Now, the Knights are keeping a particularly close eye on Trey, who still has a 2-year deal remaining with the Raiders. However, Peter O'Sullivan heard some whispers on the wind. Apparently, our boy might be slightly frustrated at the limited game time he's getting at the Raiders. So with this in mind, now we can't directly approach Trey, still under contract, as I said, but he's doing his thing, working his magic. I can't approach him directly, but now the Raiders have rejected any release in that thus far. But how many times have we seen agents, agitating for releases, whatnot? So keep a close eye on this. And I couldn't find anything, but battlers, you let me know. I swear we tried to get Trey Mooney once before. I swear once before we approached him or something. I went back to try and find it. Whether it was in 2023 or something like that. Because he only debuted in 2022. But, yeah, I just had a feeling that maybe we've gone down this route before with Trey Mooney. But keep a close eye on that because, yeah, it's, funky stuff happens this time of year regarding releases and whatnot. So who knows? Trey Mooney, one to keep an eye on. Now, a forward that the Newcastle Knights have signed who will be a part of the top 30 squad in 2026 is 26-year-old Peter Holler with 15 NRL games experience. Last played his last NRL game for the Raiders in round 12 last year. Debut for the Cowboys back in 2019. Currently playing in the for the North Devils in the Q Cup. So, not a player that I had on my radar, who I'm going to be completely honest, didn't even really know of. Peter O'Sullivan may be thinking outside the box a little bit. Obviously forwards are something we're severely lacking. You had Lockie Crouch come to the club last week. I think he's his first training sessions this week or last week. Mason Teague, these sort of guys. So, trying to bolster this forward pack. He's got a top 30 spot for next year. So one to keep an eye on there. Let's hope he might be able to develop into something. But yeah, he's been around for a bit. 26-year-old. I thought he was much younger than that. But there you go. Peter Holler from the Q Cup making his way down to Newcastle for 2026. Now, there has been a little bit of news regarding our boy Tyson Frizzell and Dane Gagai, with the clubs offering both these guys a reduced deal. So Tyson Frizzell with more than 273 NRL games experience. Our boy, Mr. Cabernet Sauvignon, Dane Gagai, with 306 games experience for a combined total of 579 NRL games between the two of them. So at the moment, it's been reported their agents are exploring other options with other clubs, see if they can get a better deal for their agent. But yeah, with the Knights only having 4 top 30 spots available in 2026. If these guys are re-signed, that only leaves 2 more. Keep that in mind. I thought that was a really interesting point. We've only got 2 more top 30 spots for 2026 as it stands at the moment. So going to be very interesting if they do take up these reduced deals. No reports of how heavily reduced they possibly are. But, geez, I don't know about you guys. I would love for them to stick around, given how many younger guys we seem to be bringing into the club. As I said, 579 games of NRL experience. Wow. And, particularly Gags, he's just been absolutely tremendous. And Tyson's still doing his thing. Are they the players they were 10 years ago? No, they're not. But I tell you what, they're still quality first-grade football players who've seen plenty of winters that every roster needs. You need these guys in your squad. So Going to be interesting to see what comes there. I'm sure we'll hear some news very shortly where these guys are going to land, if they've managed to pick up a better deal elsewhere, or they're going to stick around for that one more year with the Knights on a reduced deal. So watch this space regarding these two boys, because I don't think many people want to see either of them leave the club. So, yes, that'll wrap it up for this week's Knighted News. Let's just dive into it, Battlers. That's right. Do we have a rugby league football game on our hands with the Newcastle Knights hosting the Melbourne Storm this Saturday, 3 p.m, back home, McDonald Jones Stadium after the bye. Everyone is just wanting some rugby league football to be played, but let's do it. Let's take a look at the teams Adam O'Brien and Craig Bellamy have named heading into this week. Kicking off with the Newcastle Knights, Fletcher Hunt. Fletcher Hunt getting the nod for the fullback jersey, obviously vacated by our captain, Kalen Ponga, who was out for a very, very long period of time with that Liz Frank injury. He comes in. You let me know what you think about Fletcher Hunt coming in for the number 1 jersey. We have our boy Jacko Hastings at 5'8". Jack Cogger keeps the 7 jersey. Also, Phoenix Crossland out of the 13 jersey back into hooker. Bit surprised at that one. You let me know what you think of that. That's the spine for the Newcastle Knights, with moving across to the Melbourne Storm, Ryan Pappenhausen. Talk about a battle of the mullets. Is this the most epic battle of mullets you've ever seen, Louise? Ryan Pappenhausen up against Fletcher Hunt. I don't think I've seen 2 more dynamic mullets on the field at once.
It's going to be a tricky mullet duo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're very much the same and different. You got blonde mullet up against a very slick brunette mullet. I tell you what, maybe it was just too much mullet. If Fletcher Sharp was in the mix too, it would just be too much mullet for one football field. But anyways, moving along, we have Tyrone Wishart named at 5'8" this week, with Jerome Hughes, the halfback, and the only NRL player, Louise, did you know, Bronson Garlick, the only NRL player who's immune to vampires.
Why's that?
Bronson Garlick.
Oh.
Didn't get the joke. That was a bad one.
Sorry,
Battlers. I thought that was a really good joke. Fell flat. Anyways, let's move on from that and pretend it never happened. All right, let's kick it off. Fletcher Hunt, we all know he's an absolute excitement machine, our boy Fletcher Hunt. We know what he can do in attack. We absolutely know he's an aerial threat. He's even made, look at this, he's even made my Rugby League 26 cover. This is my cover. I don't want Nathan Cleary on my cover. I want Fletcher Hunt taking the high ball over the old foe, the Manly Seagulls. We know what he can do in attack. But do you know what a lot of people sleep on with regards to fullback? It's the stuff they do off the ball. A great quote. A fullback doesn't just defend. They organise and anticipate. They are the team's insurance policy. And it's the stuff off the ball, the coordinating, the comms, the defense. This is where Fletcher Hunt really has to nail it this week. The big task for him is organising this team's defense against a team that has scored more points and more tries than anyone in the competition. An absolutely monumental task this week. He needs to be reading that attack like a halfback. He needs to be doing that. He needs to be anticipating the kicks, any shift, sweep plays, all that stuff. He needs to understand this Knights defensive system better than anyone. It's going to be a huge task. Throwing Fletch in, I think he can do it, but it's going to be massive for him. Communicating with his wingers and his centers. If there's an overlap, he's got to be able to call it. If it doesn't work, who's got to be there to try and clean that shit up? It's your boy Fletcher Hunt. So, big task, huge task this week. As I said, this team knows how to attack. Unlike us, they have no issue scoring points. I think I had a quick look back at the Melbourne Storm results. I think they've only been held to single digits once this season. They are just scoring points for fun. I'm going to get to some statistics that'll blow your mind regarding the Melbourne Storm's offensive capabilities. I don't want to sit on it too long because I don't know what more to say about this Melbourne Storm team. They're elite. You know, when you got Craig Bellamy at the hand and at the helm and some of the guys that they got in the team, even in the reserves that might come through, boy, oh boy, absolutely stacked. So it's going to be a lot of the stuff off the ball for Fletcher Hunt, because you can guarantee that's where Jerome Hughes and, you know, if he is named Munster or Tyrone Wishart, these guys are going to try to isolate this guy, try and get Fletcher Hunt out of position and pounce on that. So he's going to need to be on his game. As I said, Melbourne Storm scoring more points and more tries than anyone in the comp. And if Fletch does a really good job at the back organising stuff, that's going to go a long, long way. So he's got a big job in his hands. Now, for the Newcastle Knights, if we are any chance, battlers, If we are any chance of winning this game and you're all sitting there going, Link, mate, give it up. You're too positive. You're always giving us half a chance. Well, you've got to give yourself half a chance. I'm telling you now, coming into it, as I said before, you got no Fletcher Hunt, no Kalen Ponga, our try-scoring machines, all right? Kalen Ponga, battlers, in the top 50 NRL try assisters, is that the right term? Of all the players, the top 50 try assists, right? Kalen Ponga is the only Newcastle Knight in the top 50 in the NRL, ranked 17th. Take him off the table, we don't have one in the top 50. Not one. And the Melbourne Storm, I'll get to them in a little bit, they've got quite a few. So,
Yikes.
yes, yikes. But it's not all hope's lost. Not all hope is lost. So, what does that mean when you're two attacking threats? Because we saw it. Seagulls game was a prime example, parking those boys up on either edge, spreading that defense, and we did our thing. Well, we're not going to have that this week. What it's going to come down to is Jack Cogger and Jackson Hastings absolutely having the games of their lives. It's going to come down to that. These two guys said about Cogger last week, he needed to be the bones, not the muscle, right? Didn't need to try and win the game on brilliance. Well, we're going to have to get a bit of brilliance out of our boy, Jack Cogger. He's got it in him. He had little glimpses of it. I said, coming out of that Raiders game, we outscored him in the second half. We took it to the Dolphins. Plenty of points against a team that was scoring points for fun. We had a good couple of results. I know we didn't get the win last week, but we came home. So, if we do need to win this, yes, as I said, off the back of some absolutely brilliant games by Jack Cogger and Jackson Hastings. And also, might I add too, shout out to Jackson Hastings as well. Huge loss, losing his mother. Was it last week, Louise? Absolutely terrible news.
Yeah, a week ago today.
So huge shout out, to Jacko. Thoughts are with you, brother. On the flip side too, Cameron Munster, we all heard the news too. He lost his father, was it only 2 or 3 days ago as well? So thoughts are with those two guys this week. Absolutely fucking terrible news. So, yeah, thoughts are with you, boys. But, yes, so, look, keeping it simple. We don't need miracle plays. We need repeatable efforts from our halves this week. Strong ends to sets. Lean into that structure. Throw a bit of shape. No ad-lib football this week, guys. Got to lean into our strength. We want to see nice early ball to confident ball-running players. Your Gags, Best, KPP, Lucas. Give these guys quality ball in prime positions and lean on those guys to do what they do best. Don't want to try and be doing I don't think we're going to want to do too much ad-lib football. If we're going to win, when we win, I feel like it's going to be a death by 1,000 cuts. That's how it's going to have to be. We're just going to have to be so methodical. I said, if there's half a chance there where you catch Pappy out of position, kick early, turn him around, all that sort of stuff. Obviously we're going to need a complete hide. That's an absolute no-brainer, against a team that's just scoring points for fun. But yes, because confidence on the football field, battlers, is very much contagious. And if Jacko and Cogs are playing with confidence and doing their thing and got the tempo of the team going, it can build and build and build off the back of that. You just don't want silly errors creeping in the game. Boys get their heads down, all that stuff. Got to start well, keep that going. And who knows? We could do it. Back home, I know everyone's sitting there going, Link, you're fucking crazy. Well, hopefully on the Knights watch this Saturday, we'll witness an upset. But yeah, it's going to be huge. These two boys need to have an absolutely brilliant game. Without Kalen Ponga or Razor Sharp on the field, they're going to have to come up with something. They're going to have to come up with some creative play this week. So all eyes on those two boys this week. Now, on the flip side, Ryan Pappenhausen, Storm's leading try scorer, scoring points for fun, withdrew from the Cowboys clash the other week with calf tightness. Unfortunately, he's back this week. We all know what sort of damage he can do. Now, it's a bit of a funny roster review this week because obviously we got Origin. They've named this team, but there's a lot of guys in the reserves. So we don't know if they're going to back up. So take it with a grain of salt. You've got Tyron Wishart this week named at 5'8", but you do have Cameron Munster named in the reserves. Is every chance he could get promoted up and plug in there. We all know the quality football player that is Cameron Munster. Jerome Hughes, what more can I say? Dally M winner, guy's an absolute gun. Easily one of the top 3 halfbacks in the competition. As I said, the man that's immune to to Vampires that Louise did not laugh at my joke about. Bronson Garlick, there's every chance to. Harry Grant comes back in. We all know the quality football player Harry Grant is, like this spine that the Storm have. They just seem to always have quality spine players. But yeah, here's some statistics. Now, I was talking to you before about attacking statistics for the Melbourne Storm. The Storm have the most tries in the competition with 82. The Newcastle Knights, Lou, we are dead last with 42.
Yeah.
They have scored 40 more points than us thus far in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Scoring on average an extra 3 tries per game than the Newcastle Knights.
Yikes.
Yep. Storm averaging 32 points a game. The Newcastle Knights, 14. Crazy, in it? So almost double. Storm have the highest amount of try assists with 67. Guess where the Newcastle Knights are? Dead last with 35. Cameron Munster, 3rd in the NRL for try assist, and Jerome Hughes, 7th. So it's no surprise that these guys are absolutely killing it, and both their halves are just right up there. They're both in the top 10 in the competition for try assist. Both quality football players. So, again, there's not. I don't know how much more you can really say about the Storm. We've seen it for so long. We all know, the brilliance of Craig Bellamy. He just gets the most out of these teams. They're so well disciplined, so well versed. They know exactly the brand of football they want to play, and I think we all just know. The one thing that's good is just we know what's coming. With the Melbourne Storm, as horrific of a storm as it may be, we know what's coming, and we can brace for it and we can prepare for it. So there's not really too much more to say about the spine. As I said, a couple of guys that haven't been named, they're every chance of coming in. So I really don't want to speculate too much, because I suspect some of these guys are going to probably be playing come Saturday anyways. But let's put that to bed. Let's move across to the outside back for the Newcastle Knights. Dominic Young and Dane Gagai parked up on that right edge once more with Brady Best and Greggy Marzu. They've reunited. I know we haven't got KP. We didn't get the full band back together, but I'll tell you what, the outside backs, they're all in. We've got the full complement once more. That's right. Greg Marzu last played, it was that Roosters game, ran 15. Why does that seem like so fucking long ago?
Seems like last year.
Oh my God, that was that Bucks night. I had to witness that game at the bloody casino. Holy dooly. Don't ask me what happened after that. But yes, and they're moving across to the Melbourne Storm. We've got Grant Anderson, Nick Meaney with Joe Chan, and Sulangi Malatu Brown in his second NRL game coming in for the Melbourne Storm. Now, the Melbourne Storm, if there is any kind of weakness at all, I did have a look. They have bled an extra 10 tries this year on their right edge, more so than their left. So 27 of the 50 tries they've conceded have been on their right edge. So 54% of tries on that right edge, that's going to play right into our left edge hand. So Greggy Marzu coming back at the right time there. So I don't know, anyone might have a little bit of a pun on the game. Maybe that left edge, they might find some joy. So I'm pretty sure that's where Adam O'Brien's going to look to try and exploit that even further. And then doubling down on that same point, the Knights have scored 57% of their points along that left edge also. So 24 of our 42 tries now, all along that left side. So both players, not only the Storm's weakest defensive side, it's our more dominant attacking side. So could find a bit of joy there. Again, I don't have much more to say about the outside backs for the Melbourne Storm. Grant Anderson, Nick Meaney, both guys doing a job. I know Grant Anderson, Broncos bound next year. Again, one of these guys that Craig Bellamy's found and turned into a pretty bloody good football player. Got some guys, Joe Chan and this other fella, Tul Malatu Brown. I think I saw that, what's his name? Jack Howarth was also named in reserve. So again, it could be another guy that comes in. It's hard, these Origin games. You don't know who's coming up, even Trent Liero's named in there. There's so many. They've got so many bloody rep players sprinkled in the reserve team. Who knows what they're going to do there. So, but yeah, getting back to, I missed him earlier, talking about the left edge, Brady Best. Holy dooly, what a return to form he's had in the couple of games back from injury. So I'm expecting that to continue. And we all know when Brady does well, our boy, the G Train, does well. So let's hope that is a compounding effect and Dylan Lucas gets his thing going and that we get that lethal left really humming once more. So Huge. Another huge game from Bradman Best. I think we're all feeling this week. All right, let's move along to the forwards for the Newcastle Knights. That's right, Mr. Foot Fetish. Dylan Lucas parked up on that left edge with our boy KPP. With the props this week, Jacob Saifidi and Leo Thompson combining. We have not seen these two boys as starting props since round 10, the Titans game. That fucking another awful Titans game where they fucking beat us at home. That's the last time these two boys started. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. He served his suspension, so Leo Thompson, a very welcome addition back into the side this week. Tyson Frizzell out of lock. Out of the prop into lock. A bit of a switcheroo there. So, actually, I skipped over Phoenix Crossland before in the halves. Why the fuck did I skip over Phoenix? Let's go back quickly. I want to touch on Phoenix. Park the forwards for 2 seconds. Now, everyone's probably a bit shocked that Phoenix Crossland didn't continue playing the 13 jersey. I certainly was. I thought he was a really good link man.
There was a comment about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, a little bit of a teaser talking about Jaden Brayley in a little bit. Now, I'm sure there is going to be a period of time where Phoenix Crossland's going to go back to lock. I don't think you're going to see where he's just out and out not going to play there, because most times he does anyways. When Brails comes on, he'll shift back there. Because there's going to be a lot of upside to having a fresh Jaden Brayley. You all know how I felt about Jaden Brayley's football the last month or so. Mightn't necessarily be a bad thing. It could pay dividends for us. I certainly would have named him at lock and kept Brails out there doing his thing, but there is upsides to having a fresh Jaden Brayley coming onto the field and doing his thing a little bit later into the game. Maybe just getting Phoenix. We all know what Phoenix is, I think, a far better defensive player. We all know, he just loves tackling. I swear, he just tackles things for fun, that man. I think he'd just go shopping and just fucking start tackling people left, right, and center. It wouldn't matter who you were.
Old ladies in the grocery store.
Oh, fuck yeah. He just fucking tackle anything. So I feel like maybe Adam O'Brien's thinking, right, let's get him out there, because we all know the Storm, big physical type pack. Just get him in there, get that rubbish work kind of done, and then you're just going to interject a Jaden Brayley a little bit later. So, again, I don't completely agree with it. I really love what we've seen from both players in these positions the last few weeks. But anyways, I don't know how I skipped that over the when we're talking about spine players there. Anyways, let's get back to it. To the Melbourne Storm forwards. Taking a look at it, we've got Sean Bloor and Elliot Katoa in the second row with our boy Josh King, friend of the show, Joshy King, Tui Kamikamitha, and Nelson Asafa Solomona locking down the middle. Now, one thing I did find interesting. Now, we all know, it's no secret, the Newcastle Knights certainly struggled to score points in the 2025 season. Now, the Newcastle Knights, I couldn't believe this, have only scored 3 tries through the middle this year. That is obviously the least in the competition. 3 tries. So it paints an even bigger picture to certainly suggest that we are far too reliant on expansive football and all that sort of stuff. We're not sort of having that impact through the middle, are we? We're looking to shift it a bit early, and that's what makes it more predictable. You want to try and, if you're going to, the old saying is, you've got to earn the right to play wide. You've got to condense that middle of field. So what that means is your big boys through the middle and condensing that line. Because they're bending the line and taking numbers in tackles, the middle of the field starts to condense. And what happens there? Well, your edges have far more space. You've earned that right. You've done the work through the middle. You've condensed that, defensive in the middle. You've got far more space out wide to play with. So I feel like because we're not doing that, we're not getting the joy off the back. Once we are shifting, they're just reading it. Defenders coming up, jamming, shutting down plays because they can see it coming, because the Knights just aren't doing enough through that middle part. Thought that was really interesting, because now these stats start to paint a much bigger picture. And it's kind of hard to really look at it maybe in the first quarter of the season or so, because it's the sample size isn't there. But, now we're in round 19, which is fucking crazy. It definitely paints a bigger picture of the woes for the Newcastle Knights as far as points being scored and the lack of impact from the forwards through the middle. But I thought that was just an interesting point to raise. But yes, let's move right into, let's do it. Let's dive into this week's player battle. And I've picked up our boy Dylan Lucas up against Elliot Katoa. this week. Now, both these guys an absolute handful for their respective teams. Both very, very good football players. Dylan Lucas, only 40 games into his NRL career. Can you believe that? 40 games for our boy, Dylan Lucas. 5 tries thus far in the 2025 season with a 93.7% tackle efficiency with 143 average run meters per game. Absolutely sensational with our boy, Elia Katoa. Well, now their boy, Elia Katoa. 107 games, 7 tries in 2025, a 90.9% tackle efficiency. So not as good as our boy, Dylan Lucas, and 144 average run meters. So very similar in a lot of regards. These guys certainly having some joy scoring some points. Dylan Lucas with the slightly better tackle efficiency. But yeah, boy, oh boy, both these guys, absolute weapons on their respective edges. So these guys going to go head-to-head this week. Looking forward to that matchup. I feel like this is going to be a real good one. So keep an eye on those two boys going head-to-head. But yeah, how good is it having Leo Thompson back? I know he's going to be wanting a point to prove that silly suspension against the Dragons. Oh, killer. 4 weeks, we've absolutely missed him. So he's going to be a welcome addition. And as I said, not since round 10 have we seen JSAF and Leo take the field together to start. So, couldn't come at a better time. I know we've got some big outs, some flashy players out, but we got some, we got some forwards back in the middle there. We had Tyson come back last week. Now Leo this week. And yeah, speaking of Tyson, look, we all know the type of player he is. He's not going to have the ball playing. He's not going to be as good a link player as Crossland is, but you know what you're going to get defensively. He's just going to get through his work. He's just going to churn those numbers out. It just is what it is with Tyson being there. So, in the forward pack, as I said, they've got Josh King, Tui Kamakamitha, Nelson Asafa Solomona, who's a fucking monster. I would look like his skeleton. I met him at a Melbourne Storm event. He'd be about my height, but fucking hell, he'd have an easily, I don't know how, he'd probably have an extra 30 kegs on me, but just fucking pure muscle. Absolute behemoth of a man. But yeah, so I don't know. I feel like the starting forward packs, I think pretty evenly matched, particularly Leo's back in the team. I think we can match them there. Might be a bit of a different story coming into the bench there, but feel like we can hold our own, these teams. I think it's like two different. But, they're obviously a big, handy mobile forward pack, exactly what Craig Bellamy loves. You know what you're going to get. So, yeah. All right, let's move along to the bench. For the Newcastle Knights, our boy, Mr. McDonald's Thick Shake Machine, finds himself out of the starting hooker role, back into the 14 jersey for the Newcastle Knights this week. Jaden Brayley with Matt Croker, Jermaine McEwen, and Mr. Nitanium. Brodie Jones ran out the interchange bench for the Newcastle Knights. For the Melbourne Storm, we've got Jonah Pezzett, Stefano Utukamanu, Lazarus Valapu, and Atavalu Lissati rounding out the interchange bench for Craig Bellamy. Now, Jaden Brayley, getting back to what I was saying before, interjecting Jaden Brayley into the latter parts of the game might break the Storm open. It might just do that. I think we've all starting to see he picks his moments really well. He really does pick his moments running out of dummy half quite well, Jaden Brayley. So, as I said before, if he can be that running threat out of dummy half through the middle, it's only going to compress the middle of the field defensively, and then we're going to get more joy with our edge players. So, don't get too disheartened if you're feeling like, oh, fuck, I really wish we just started, if we kept the same old. Well, you're going to get a fresher Jaden, and maybe that's the notes that Adam O'Brien's given Jaden Brayley this week is, mate, I need you to go out there and not so much just tackle your dick off. You're going to have more energy. I need more runs from dummy half. You pick your moments quite well. Hopefully get these big tied forwards of the Melbourne Storm and get them on the back foot. And as I said, death by 1,000 cuts, compress that middle. And then we know we got strike out wide. We got quality edges. So maybe the game plan is just get that middle fucking compressed as hell and then just play off the back of that. Give our boys out wide some space. Get it fired out to Brady. He does his thing. Good luck, getting an overlap on our left edge. Fucking good luck trying to shut that down. So don't be too disheartened. I don't know. Part of me is excited to see Jaden Brayley come out, fresh legs around some tied middles there. So could play into our hand. Now, another guy that I'm really keen to see what sort of impact he can bring again to a really good quality team is Jermaine McEwen. He is a guy that is playing with some absolute confidence only a handful of games to his name. I think like 4 or 5 NRL games. But boy, oh boy, he's playing with some experience, playing with some confidence.
Matthew's just commented, Jermaine McEwen had a great game last weekend in New South Wales Cup against the Bulldogs with 2 tries.
Well, there you go. Confidence will be sky high with him. There was that play there against the Raiders. There was a left. We attacked on the left. I think it was off a big line break. They shift the ball. KP gets it to Jermaine. I don't know what Jermaine was thinking. He should have gone out to his right. Didn't happen. He cut back in for some reason, tried to get something going, kicked the ball, whatever. Player was dead. The one takeaway was, though, the guy's got a bit of confidence, got some fucking big old brass balls on him to keep that shit going. You know, he's a young guy. He probably had Cogsnat screaming at him for the fucking ball. He's like, no, I've seen something. But then it paid dividends, didn't it? You know, the guy backed himself from dummy half, scored his first NRL try against the Raiders there, dug deep, got points. So you don't do that unless you've got a bit of confidence about you. So let's hope he brings that. He might start to be a bit of a, for the remainder of the season, a bit of this X-factor type forward that we can bring off the bench, you know, in the latter parts of the game. So, yeah, let's hopefully that continues. As who was that brought that up earlier about him playing, getting those 2 tries last week? Matthew, yeah. So I didn't get a chance to watch that, but there you go. So he's obviously got a bit of, you know, as I said, bit of confidence about him, which is good to see. And you moving along to the interchange bench for the Melbourne Storm, like Stefano Ukoi, Tamanu, surprised. I don't want to talk about Origin too much. Surprised he got a call up, to be honest. I don't think he did enough in game 2. Anyways, he seems to be Craig Bellamy. We'll expect him back. Again, I don't know a lot about these other guys. Lazarus, I know, has got big raps on him. I think any player of the Melbourne Storms is going to have huge raps on him. Craig Bellamy doesn't pick bums. One that I was really surprised with, I swore Jonah Pizzette had another really bad leg injury. I swear that's what happened. It wasn't ACL, but it was something pretty darn bad again. And everyone was like, oh, the Newcastle Knights dodged a bullet. They got this, you know, we don't want a playmaker that's, you know, constantly fighting injury. But, yeah, when I saw his name, I was like, oh, shit, he mustn't be injured. So there you go. But, yeah, there you go, Battlers. So I know no one's given us a goddamn chance in hell. They have some absolutely gun football players, particularly in key positions. However, we got strike on the edges. We have great edge players, which got to lock down that middle, and the forwards, as I said, doesn't need to be crazy ad-lib football. It's got to be death by 1,000 cuts. We've got to play the Melbourne Storm like they play. And then, you know, Fletcher Hunt, he's got a big job on his hands, you know. Trying to organise a defence for a young guy against a team that's got, you know, I'm expecting Cameron Munster to probably play, Jerome Hughes, Harry Grant, these sort of guys will probably play, let's be honest. Going to be a massive job for him. Absolutely huge job. I know what he can do with the ball in hand. It's the other stuff with Fletcher Hunt this week. We want to keep a real close eye on. And Jackson Hastings, Jack Cogger, brilliant games. We need you boys to have absolutely brilliant games heading into this week. So, but yes, I don't know if it's going to be enough. But as I said before, we beat the Dolphins. We came goddamn close to the Raiders. And yeah, coming in this week, fresh off the bye. Who knows? Who knows? All right, let's do it. Let's jump into this week's Lock It In's, brought to you by Grain-Fed Brewery, the beer brewed tough, just like your game day calls. Whether you're backing in the boys for a big win or predicting a masterclass from your favorite player, make sure you have a cold grain-fed in hand. Bold flavors, bold predictions. Lock it in with Grain-Fed. All right. Start sending them in, Battlers. Get your lock-it-ins in. All right, kicking it off. I've got Greggy Marzu and Dylan Lucas, anytime try scorers. I think the left edge is going to start firing. It's going to start firing, as I said before. Newcastle Knights favouring that side of the field when it comes to attacking football, and the Melbourne Storm leaking more tries on that edge than the other. I don't know. It's going to play into our hand a bit. And we all know the G train. When our boy Brady Bess is absolutely fit and firing, he just plays better too. If he's playing with braids, I think you can just pretty much lock him in for a fucking hat-trick. Let's be honest. So that's my Cat 1s. Cat 2, I've got the Knights with 20 offloads. A little bit of second phase play around. As I said, don't want to see too much ad-lib crazy football this week. I know we got it in us, but not this week, boys. Completion rate, 75 to 80%. It's going to need to be at least that. At least we get sub that, there's this Melbourne Storm team. Ugh, it's going to be ugly, I think. Knights to score first, back home, Mac Jones Stadium. I think we're pretty good at that. And Knights to score in the last 5 minutes. So whether it's garbage time or it's the final nail in the coffin against the Melbourne Storm, lock it in. The Newcastle Knights are going to score in the last 5 minutes. All right. That are my lock it ins for this week. All right. Let's take a look at some of the ones from the Battlers. What do we got? All right, Justin. Oh, a bit of air of confidence. Excellent, Justin. All right. Dominic Young, anytime try scorer. He's got a bit of love for the right-hand side. Very good, Justin. Fletcher Hunt, anytime try scorer. I tell you what, leaning into stuff that I was talking about before with the halves, surely to God we see some high ball action for our boy Fletcher Hunt. Surely to God we see a bit of that. Knights to run for 1,500 plus meters. Knights to have 70 to 80% completion rate. I'm with you there, brother. Knights 1-12 win. Knights to score first and last. Sensational, Justin. Mate, what a roller coaster you've been on in 2025, pal. It absolutely has, honestly, has been a roller coaster. What do we win, lost the last 5 or so weeks? So let's hope that trend continues and we get the win this week. All right, Christopher, what do you got? Big dog. Marzu, anytime try scorer. Katoa, anytime try scorer. Yeah, well, I'm with you, mate. Marzu, I feel like, is going to be in for a big game on his return. Katoa, quality player there. 7 tries already this season. He'll be doing some damage, I feel like, on his right edge. Knights force 4 to 5 dropouts. Mate, I would love that. That leans exactly into the narrative I'm trying to push with Cogs and Jacko. Repeatable efforts, just death by 1,000 cuts, building pressure against the Melbourne Storm. Want to see that. Storm to concede 7-8 penalties. Fucking love that. Knights to score first. Knights to win in Golden Point. Oh, my God. Could you imagine the scenes of the Knights watch if that happens, hey?
Your heart rate again.
Oh, we've had some really good. Jesus Christ. Who's buried me here? Fucking hell, Paul. Wow, mate. Jesus. All right, let's take a look at Paul's here while I'm fucking hidden behind it. No more storms. Newcastle have had enough stormy weather. Yeah, they actually have too, haven't they? Yeah, no more storms. All right, Cat 1. Dominic Young, 2 tries. Bradman Best, 2 tries. Holy shit. Both edges carving up. Knights 49 to 51% possession. 70 to 74% completion rate. And he's got the, what's this one here? Knights little win. And Knights score first and last. Fucking hell. Everyone's. This optimism, my internal optimism is just running off on people. It's contagious. Absolutely contagious. How good's that? Very good, Battlers. Loving that. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I was expecting people, and you know what? I wouldn't have judged this week. You're a quality team, the Melbourne Storm. What do we got here? James, high ball attacking kicks to Dom and Hunt, hopefully. Yeah, well, let's not forget our boy Dom. Absolutely, I'm with you there. It was unfortunately something that crept into the game why we weren't competing for some of the high balls that we were against the Raiders. Hopefully that's been addressed because that was something that was glaringly obvious that sort of we shot ourselves in the foot. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, mate. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's answer any burning questions, Battlers. That's right, brought to you by our good mates at Get Out Alive Fire Safety Training. You work in a business, Battlers. Chances are you are not prepared for fire and or emergency. So make sure you get in contact with the fine folks at Get Out Alive Fire Safety Training for your training, procedures, plans, whatever it is you may need. Get your staff equipped for potential disaster. Because if you do not learn, Lou, you will
burn.
Exactly right. All right. What do we got?
Joanne has asked, see the reports Dom Young's brother Alex is signing with Cessnock Goannas.
I did not know that. Do you know what? I completely forgot, Joanne, about his brother Alex. I didn't even, because that came into the equation, didn't it? When he went to the Roosters signed him and blah, blah, blah. Interesting. All right. We could be seeing Sue Young. This one goes out to you. You're going to be rocking around Cessnock, are you? Going to go watch the Goannas play. Very good. How good's that? Awesome stuff.
Justin said earlier, Phoenix Crossland, how to tackle yourself dickless, a guide to being a tackling machine in the NRL will be a post-NRL career bestseller.
Oh, absolutely. I'd audio book that shit.
You know what shirts he should wear? They still exist.
What's that?
Dickies?
Oh, Dickies. Dickie less. I would absolutely. Yeah, that man, I tell you what, the amount of. I wonder if surely he's heard this by now about tackling your dick off. I'd love to ask him in person, like, mate, just truly, man to man, how many penis transplants have you had? And he'd just look at me and go, what? That is the strangest question I've ever been asked in my life.
While we wait for more questions to come through, we have some news regarding storm, a different kind of storm.
We do have some news regarding a different type of storm. Now, last week, Battlers, it came at a perfect time. I don't know whether they just catered to me for the Newcastle Knights being in the bye, but we packed our bags. We went off to Dalby for a couple of nights to attend the beautiful wedding of my brother and his beautiful wife, her name happens to be Storm. Can you believe it? The week before the wedding, we play the Raiders. The week after, we're playing the bloody Storm. The rugby league gods just keep writing these scripts. So, a huge shout out to those guys. Beautiful wedding. Us drunk idiots at the end of the night, jumping into a God knows what the temperature was of that pool at the end of the night. In our still fully dressed.
Lincoln got hypothermia for sure.
Oh yeah, shit yeah. I love a cold shower though. I was in there for a bit though. The other boys dipped pretty fast, but I headed straight on in. But no,
I was yelling at Lincoln to get out.
And holy shit, did we tear up the dance floor?
We sure did.
You and I thought I was going to blow a hammy. I haven't moved like that in a long time.
There's video evidence. I'll have to put it on the Discord.
Shit, yeah. Oh, I'm not ashamed of it either. I was fucking tearing it up. It was so much fun.
You're not ready for this jelly?
Absolutely not. No, it was good times. Good times.
All right. Christopher's asked, if the Knights part with AOB, do you think Laurie Daly would be a good coach?
Oh, mate, I think there's a really big difference from coaching rep level and the rigors of day in, day out NRL coaching. Very different. There would be other candidates. There would be other candidates I would take prior to him. The top of my list now would be Brad Arthur. Because I'll tell you why. Because Brad Arthur didn't leave the Eels in like bad circumstances. It wasn't like a bad breakup. It was both one of those things. It's not a you, it's me thing. It was just a both. You know what I mean? It's not like there was no custody battle over the kids. It was just a nice amicable split. You go your way, I go mine. Fond memories. Because, he absolutely didn't lose the locker room with his players. He got his team to a grand final in 2022. I like the kind of coach he is. You got both of his sons currently at the club now. Dill Brown's coming to the club. Dill Brown loves Brad Arthur, so that would be a safe bet. So at the moment, he'd be the top of my list, but I do like Sam Burgess too. I think a bit of Sam Burgess in Newcastle would go all right too.
Justin's asked, can our boys pull off the impossible and make the 8, or does our run home make it hard?
Oh, it's a tough run, brother. Let's do that together. We haven't actually, we don't look too far forward on this podcast. We're a very week to week kind of thing, which is good. That's the kind of the old rugby league trope, 1 week at a time.
Like the economy, living week to week.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's a cost of living crisis here. Let's take a look, actually, because we don't often indulge about what's in front of us, do we? We set a really good example here about, not looking too far ahead. All right, so coming up, Justin, we're obviously playing the Melbourne Storm. Then we got the Wars next week back home. So back 2 games at Mac Jones. And then we got the Raiders once more, this time in Canberra, before we head into the bye. And my phone's just decided, no, I'm not going to keep showing you that. What is going on here? Sorry. Just wigged out. All right, so then we head into the bye. Then we got the Panthers, who are a very different Panthers team to last time we played them. They're starting to really heat up. Cowboys, they're bloody up and down like a fiddler's elbow. The Broncos, if I ever want to win a game, if there's only one more game we win all year, it's got to be that bastard. That is going to be one of the most epic Knights watches of all time, that one. So we've got the Broncos and we've got the Sharks, and then we've got the Dill Brown Bowl, the last one. So you would have to say, mate, there aren't many teams that I don't think there's going to be a single team we're going to be heading into as favourites, put it that way. Storm, we're not going to be. Warriors, no. Raiders, no. Panthers, no. Cowboys in Townsville, no. Broncos, probably not. Sharks, no. Eels down at Combank, probably not also. So if the bookies are anything to go by, mate, we absolutely have an uphill battle in front of us. We're only 2 wins out of the top 8, so we're not out of touch, but it's going to take some crazy levels of confidence and galvanization of this team over the course of the next couple of months, mate, to pull it together. But who knows? Who knows, mate? Keep saying it. Stranger things in rugby league have happened. Stranger things have happened, dude. So who knows what can happen?
Tyler's asked, will the Storm attack Hunt at the back? Will he be ready? And when New South Wales win, do you reckon the Origin Stars will back up?
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to, mate. Of course, they're going to try and isolate Fletch Hunt. You know, obviously, very young football player, hasn't played much. Was it one game at fullback for the Knights so far? If I remember right.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
coming away and see.
I should know this shit. I don't know why it doesn't stick in my head.
Yeah, I feel like we've been away for like a month. It's only been a week.
I think he did switch back there once. But yeah, of course, Craig Bellamy's going to know to try and keep an eye on him and try and get him out of position. And it's going to be a huge job for Fletch Hunt. Massive. You know, he's not going up against, a struggling Titans outfit. He's, as I said, going up against a team that know how to score points, score more tries than anyone in the competition and more points. And then when you got representative level spine players, Harry Grant, bloody Drame Hughes, Cameron Munster, so they're going to absolutely look to identify him. And yes, mate, when New South Wales do win, I'm glad you framed it that way. I would expect their Origin Stars to back up. I hope they don't. I hope they get absolutely pummeled and they get a couple of niggly injuries and they're scratched from the game. That'd sweeten the deal a little bit more. But yeah, I would expect them to back up, pal.
Yeah, Tony said 1 full game at the back for Hunt.
It was. I thought it was 1. I couldn't remember if it was like halfway through the game he had to switch back there or something. But there you go. So second game at fullback. So yeah, going to be interesting there.
Brett's asked, are you going to the Knights versus Broncos game?
I'm not, mate. I'm actually hosting 3 loser Broncos supporters right here in the bar. It's going to be one of the big night watches ever. Yeah, I wish we played them at Suncorp more often.
Yeah.
Sucks. We never, even the Dolphins, we didn't play them at all at Suncorp. Fuck, we get dudded there. But yeah, so no, it's going to be one of the most epic nights watches. I've got Hef locked in, Dom's locked in. One of the other boys is flying away for holidays. I think he's fucking timed it that way too, the dog. I think he's tried to get out of this. He's trying to dip. So I've got one of the other ones will put their hands up for it anyways. It'll be one of the good ones anyway. So I'd say, as I said, if there's one I want to win, it's in front of those bastards. Then they're going to do their dumb Broncos dance, and by all means, you have a license to throw whatever comments you want at these blokes. Trust me, you have my permission to feed it to these dickheads.
I'll be here throwing water bottles at them.
Absolutely. All right, let's do it.
Pang's asked, hey, Link, I checked the stats of our most recent 2 games against Storm at home, and they were very close.
Ooh, nice, Pang. Well, you never know, mate. You never know. It's the one thing, the tale of 2025 is a team that turns up and plays some bloody good football can nearly beat anyone on their day. Like, they really can. It's the ladder this year is so close. As I said, 19 rounds of football, and I think the competition's still wide open. I know there's some teams that are pretty much cemented themselves as top 4 teams. They're going to be there at the pointy end, but there's a lot of things up for grabs. This last 2 months could be absolutely crazy. So who knows? It should be full of confidence. Said the Dolphins game, brimming with confidence. We scored more points without Kalen Ponga than we did with Kalen Ponga against the Raiders. So there's a lot to take away. There's a lot to take away. As I said, of all the losses for the year, the one against the Raiders wasn't that bad for me. I could walk away and go, there's a lot of positives to take. It wasn't like put it this way, the loss to the Titans, that one is just gut-wrenching because they're a team you should bloody beat. But the Raiders doing their thing, and we came back, and some things went against us. KP getting injured, and Jacko spills the ball, and it just happened to be when KP was injured and not there to clean it up at the back. Just a couple of things didn't go our way. We were every chance to win that game. And what would the narrative be, Battlers? What would the narrative be if the Newcastle Knights had beaten the Raiders before going into the bye, coming into this week? They go, well, fuck, if we beat the Canberra Raiders without KP and Fletcher Sharp, KP for a lot of that game and no Fletcher Sharp, who's to say we can't beat the Storm? So Yeah, I'm certainly not writing us off by any means. I think the bookies have got us like $4. Anyways, might be a bit of value there. Who knows? Who knows? All right. Any more? Or is that it? Have I extinguished all the burning questions? I'll put them all out.
One more.
One more. What do we got?
Justin's asked, which player do you feel the Knights need to keep between Gags and Frizzell?
Gags. I love fucking Gags. Gags is just such a competitive football player. I feel like I feel like he would be the guy to keep. It's no knock on Tyson. Like I feel like when you got so many young forwards, it probably make more sense to keep, if you had to keep one of the two, keeping Tyson, an older forward, with so many young forwards, because you're only going to really have JSAF. I think he's got about 160 games to his name. But just Gags, man, he's just he still makes a difference in games. Like he still influences football games. Like Tyson still does his thing. He's nowhere near as damaging as he was, like peak Origin, back rower type Tyson Frizzell. Those days are behind him now, but he's still a quality footballer. But man, Gags still would not look out of place with an Origin jersey at all. Like he's not as quick as he once was, but fuck, he's still as strong. Injuries, like he's rarely, both of them have been pretty gifted in that regard. None of them have really big injuries, or they're usually pretty healthy, the both of them. But yeah, if I had to pick one, it'd be our boy, Mr. Cabernet Sauvignon. And not only that too, because he came to the club through our dark ages, through all that shit, and he should have never gone to the Rabbits. We'll pretend that didn't happen, but he came back to us, and I'd love for him to finish a night. Tyson, a lot of his career, he started at the Sharks and a lot of it at the Dragons before he came to us. I just want to see Gags finish his days as a Knight more than anything. So I think most people would probably agree there. Is that it? I've extinguished them all, put the fire out.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, Battlers, if you haven't done so already, make sure you give this live stream a big old thumbs up. Really does help. So smash that thumbs up button like a Broncos 5'8" smashing an Uber. If you haven't done so already, make sure you give us a 5-star review. I know there's plenty of you out there that have listened to this podcast week in, week out, and you haven't left a 5-star review. Well, this is the kick up your ass to get that done. Okay, please. It really does help us out. Get more battlers come in. Fills them with more confidence. It's more cathartic for them. So goes a long way, battlers. If you could do that for your boy Link, it would be greatly appreciated. Now, once more, as I said earlier, you got 1 week, battlers. If you want to win your copy, it won't be a copy like this, but if you want to win your copy of Rugby League 26, either on PlayStation or Xbox, your choice, whatever your flavor is, all you need to do is you're going to go find the pin post on Insta or Facebook. You're going to give that a big old thumbs up. You're going to tag 3 people, as I said. Friends, family, people you fucking hate, I don't care. Tag them. And then all you got to do is go find the YouTube channel, subscribe there. You're in the running, baby. You're in the running. You don't even, if you win, you save yourself, what are you, 80, 90 bucks, whatever they charge a game. Your boy's going to shout you a video game. All right? You get to enjoy hours of fun on your boy Link. And I'll tell you what, we're going to be doing some content around the new rugby league game. I'm going to try and sort that shit out. I think there's a couple of content creators want to do a couple of tournaments, and maybe I can put something together and play a couple of games with some of the battlers. That might be a bit of fun too. So stick around for that for all you PlayStation people. I'm a PlayStation kind of guy. All right, that'll pretty much wrap it up. Keep an eye out for the Night's Watch, 3 p.m. on Saturday. And then, yes, also coming to you live from the Caxton Street Brewing Company tomorrow night, pre and post-match, all right? Either side of the game, your boy and the New South Wales Blues stream team coming to you live. I still can't believe they're hosting that many Blues supporters. Weird. Queenslanders have fucking lost the plot. I'm forever grateful for them hosting us, but I'm like, what? Caxton Street Brewing Company hosting a Blues stream event? What is going on here? Anyways, I'm getting out of here, battlers. I'm getting the Adam O'Brien out of here. I will see you guys tomorrow night for the New South Wales Blues stream team event. Later.